Okay, welcome everyone. This is Ross Garcia. I'm a certified consultant with Bob Proctor, Proctor Gallagher Institute, and I want to thank you guys for your time for coming on this call because you could be doing something else. And these calls about personal growth and development, how to think positive and attract people, circumstances, situations into your life that could literally change your life. I'll give you guys information about me. Back in 2010, I went through a really bad situation. I almost lost my life. And I woke up in the hospital. It was just a horrible situation. And I realized that, like, I started listening to Napoleon Hill, and he says that the biggest failure of mankind is failure to take possession of your own mind. Because if you took possession of your own mind, you could literally have anything you want. You can have it in abundance. The problem is that people are looking with the lower faculties, with what you can see, smell, taste, hear, and touch, and you're getting more of the same. So what you have to do is you have to think positive, write out something. It might be something, a desire, something that you may have. As far as like what I did back in 2010, I started studying Bob Proctor. I started studying Napoleon Hill, and then I wrote out a plan. Now that was not my major definite purpose in life. My major definite purpose in life, I'm actually doing that right now, and it's coaching people starting MSIs, multiple sources of income. Never wrote books, didn't understand how to do a layout for a book, graphic design, stuff like that, websites. But I got involved. I threw myself out there, and I realized that all you need is a pen to basically change your life. All you need is a pen, and I'll tell you why. Because when you have a pen and you write this stuff down on a blank sheet of paper, when you write it down and you can put, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm making $100,000 a month, which sounds like, if you never made 100 grand a month, it sounds crazy. And it happened to me. The most I've ever made was $65,000 a year, um, when I got out of high school. So multiple sources of income pay you when you sleep, they pay you when you're awake. And the key is to make money when you sleep. Um, so you don't have to go to work. Now, Wallace Waddles in the book The Science of Getting Rich, he says that there's seven basic universal principles. The first principle, and you guys might want to write this stuff down, is the transmutation of energy. Now, science and theology, they disagree on a lot of things, but they come to an unanimous decision on one thing, that nothing's created, nothing's destroyed. So everything you want is already here, but it's on a certain frequency, it's on a certain level of awareness. And your purpose here is to grow. So the transmutation of energy, energy just is. Energy just is. It's neither created nor destroyed. It's the cause and effect of itself. It's 100% evenly present in all places at all times. Now, there was a doctor named Dr. Thurman Fleets in 1934 in San Antonio, Texas, that talked about the causes and effects of people and why do people habitually do things that hurt them. In other words, habits. So you have in your subconscious mind programs, habitual way of doing things that are not letting you make the breakthrough. They're not letting you go to the next level. Why? Because you're programmed at birth, environmentally and genetically. That's why welfare recipients are fourth, fifth generation welfare recipients, because all they see was poverty. That's what they're going to attract, nothing but poverty. Well, guess what? We're the same way. When you see your parents, if you ask your mom, your dad, how much is the most money you've ever made? They might say the most I've ever made is like 60,000 a year. Now, that is a certain level of awareness, but that's also a paradigm. So when you see people, you do what you see. So if you see your parents making that amount, you're going to shoot for that amount. The reason that you can't go for 60,000 a month is because you're wondering how you're going to get to 60,000 a month. But let me tell you something right here, just like the book I wrote, the how will present itself to you. How does the how present itself to you? Well, It presents itself through circumstances, through events that all line up. It's just like a seed in the ground. I like what Earl Nightingale said about the subconscious mind. He said that the subconscious mind is immoral. You can plant nightshade, a deadly poison, and not even a 16th of an inch away, you can plant corn of sweet food. It gives you what you plant. So what are you planting on the ground? Are you planting lack, limitation, and poverty? Or are planting abundance, residual income, multiple sources? I'm so happy and grateful now that I made my annual salary into my monthly salary. But you're still wondering how. Well, let me tell you, how is like the program that you have that you're operating on. Our whole purpose, reading this material, talking about these chapters that I have here, is to change the way you think. Okay, so helping people overcome negative programming. And I said in the Profit Express, in this book, I said, I'm in the business of helping people. And anyone aiming to better themselves should also be in the business of helping people. I like seeing people smiling and enjoying life. I like when Napoleon Hill says that the biggest sin of mankind is failure to take possession or, or control of their mind. He said if we took possession of our mind, we can literally create anything we want. I see it all the time when I go to stores. Sometimes mothers telling their children, you can't have that, or we simply just can't afford it. Trust me, I've seen it in situations where it felt like I was surrounded by people telling me what I can and I can't afford. When I was younger, I remember hitting the walls of my house, telling my mom that I want $5 or $10, that I need this and this, right? For many of us, we've been exposed to environmentally and socially throughout our life and programs from our mind. Negative programs were passed down to us by what we've seen and experienced while growing up. If we saw poverty, misery, that's what we're going to attract. If you want to, uh, we're brought up in violence, or if you were brought up in poverty, then 9 times out of the 10, you're going to be in poverty, or you're going to surround yourself in this violence. That's why some welfare recipients are fourth generation welfare recipients. However, if you understand that you're a creator and you can create anything you want, you're an intellectual being, that you can train yourself to come from a place where you believe there is no lack. If you're in a bad environment and you often think about how broke you are, how unhappy you are, with the wrong people in your life, then it's time for you to leave these people behind and find someone who will have a positive impact on your life, who will believe in your goals and participate in your life, who is going to go to the next level with you. If there's someone in your life telling you that you're no good, then that you don't make them happy, then your ideas suck, and that's why you're going broke. Then the very act of cutting these people off with your life might be what you need to do to go to the next level. Okay, this is what I'm telling you guys, word for word in my book. Now, I might be off a little bit, but this is what I'm saying. We need to choose our truths or have a definite major purpose in life tied to our desire. The universe likes precision. We need to change the picture and see ourselves happy, healthy, and wealthy to create a shift. You might get frustrated because people may not be there for you as you're going on the Profit Express, but don't blame anyone. Many people just aren't aware of how this process works. Not too many people, not too many friends stuck around while I was in the process of making my dreams a reality. I grew out everyone around me. I got tired of doing the same thing and going out to clubs trying to find joy and excitement. It just wasn't me anymore. Leave the past in the past, start a new day, and most importantly, start with a plan. I think it's really difficult for us to let go of that pain, to let go of hurt, that we hold on to it as if it was sacred. Use that struggle to better your life, to reach out and ask for a bounty. Ask for the things that you want. Don't worry what you want is going to come. Don't worry how what you want is going to come about or happen. Using your willpower, just hold on to the picture in your mind and know that you are a millionaire. Okay. I remember Andrew Carnegie listening to a story about. I remember listening to a story about Andrew Carnegie, who was the fourth, who was the first bill. He was worth billions of dollars, and who was once the richest person in the world. He dedicated the last year of his life to giving his fortune away, being being careful to make sure he gave his money to the right charitable companies so people wouldn't use his wealth in the wrong way. As you're helping yourself, help people as much as you can. You don't need to be the richest person in the world to give back. In some cases, you can donate to charities, but donation doesn't always need to be about money. You can also volunteer at food drives or work at the Salvation Army. Helping people doing something for the world or the planet helps motivate you to succeed and makes you feel good as well. If the 1% of the 1% gave back the majority of the money away, there wouldn't be any poverty. Our country has done a great job of giving back. Now, you know, you can work at the Salvation Army. You can walk up to someone and give them $100. Most importantly, giving back helps you release negative vibes. It's your job to take possession of your mind. By helping someone when you have negative thoughts, you feel a little bit better about yourself. Now, what I'm telling you guys is that you have to send love to people because you're the only problem you will ever have and you're the only solution. And when you give love to other people, those people do not expect for you to reach out to them because they're a direct reflection of what they're thinking. And everything they say about you is a reflection of who they are. So they're only displaying their ignorance when they say no to you. It's no is a foreign vibration. It's what we call an FE, a foreign vibration. So no doesn't mean no. No just means I don't understand. And the more that you get educated in the laws of prosperity, the laws of growth, the laws that have always been here, because nothing's created, nothing's destroyed. And you have to understand that you are a spirit, you have an intellect, and you're going through this journey to grow. You're trying to break through the paradigm. The paradigm is telling you there is no way you can take your annual salary and make it your monthly salary. But when there is a way, when there is a will, there is a way. It's like John Kennedy who wanted to send a spaceship, put a man on the moon. He asked Werner von Braun, how can we do it? Werner von Braun was a German scientist. He answered him in 5 words, the will to do it, the will to do it. And he says that the laws are precise, that we don't have any difficulty sending a spaceship and putting a man on the moon, that we can time the landing by a precision of a fraction of a second. So the laws are precise. And we're dealing with infinite scenarios, infinite whatever you want. And just to quote Genevieve Behrend was a French lady back in the early 1900s. She was mentored by a guy named Thomas Troward that wrote a book called The Hidden Power. Bob Proctor refers to him as the most influential literature writer in the last 500 years. So this guy wrote about the Dory lectures on mental science, the law of the word. He wrote the Edinburgh lectures on mental science. This guy was like a genius, right? And he mentored Genevieve Behrend. And Genevieve Behrend, she put it best when that she said that you can bring these unseen causes into harmony with your conception, and you can make practical working realities of possibilities that at present seem but fantastic dream. So what is a fantastic dream? A fantastic dream is turning your annual income into your monthly income, turning your annual income into your daily income. How can you do that if you're operating on a level of awareness where the most you've ever made is 30,000 pounds? But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're on these calls and you haven't written out your goal, I'm talking about your 2021 goal, your monthly goal, your daily goal. If you have not have any goals, you need to get out of these calls because these calls are for people that have actually wrote down what they desire. Okay? So I'm going to tell you something crazy that happened to me, and I'll tell you how this stuff works. I went from making, like I said, the most I've ever made was 65,000 a year. So I went from making 65,000 a year to making 65,000 every 2 weeks. I was making about 120,000 a month. I wrote down on a blank sheet of paper that I wanted to start a company and make a multi-million dollar business. So I started the loan modification company. Now, that company has made over a couple $1,000,000, probably maybe even $3 million. Now, our contracts that we were signing for people were $5,500 contracts. Some of the contracts were like 4,500. So You know, a hundred clients at $4,500. That's why Bob Proctor carries a calculator on him, because he takes a big number and he makes it look small. So what's 4,500 times 100? So that's 450,000. Okay. So if I had a thousand clients, that would be $4,500. I mean, 4.5 million dollars. Now, I've come close to having a thousand clients. Our office probably has had a thousand clients. Now, I'm not focused too much on that business. We're referring our clients out to another company, but the business is still there. Why? Because in 2009, 2010, everyone went through a recession, depression, and a lot of people were losing their homes. And we're seeing that right now with the money printing. So when I looked at what was happening, we always try to make sense on how we're going to become rich. So if I say, look, I'm coming in with a briefcase, and in this briefcase, I have $5 million. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, where did he get the money? Right? The money didn't just appear. Where did he get the money? Because we talk about the law of attraction, but there's a difference between appearing, where it just appeared from nothing, right? Because that's how the stuff works. And you actually had to work hard to get that 5 million. The question is, now, if you're talking to, let's say, the average person, they're going to tell you, you know what? He robbed a bank. And if he didn't rob a bank, then maybe he's a drug dealer. Maybe, you know, he maybe sold a lot of drugs or some crazy thing like that, right? But what if I told you that there's a certain way where you can have the 5 million in the briefcase through the law of attraction, but it's going to take time to get the 5 million in the briefcase. And I'm talking about 5 million cash, not broken up in pieces. Because if I would have stuck at my company and I would have kept doing that and kept saving money and kept making moves, I would have stacked $5 million in the briefcase. Now, they say that in order for you to retire, all you need is $7.5 million to live off the interest. That interest would be anywhere from 10 to 15,000 a month just for you to retire. So I'm talking about, you know, you don't have to work for anyone. You can live the rest of your life with $7.5 million. Now you're not gonna go retarded, but you're gonna possibly have a house paid off and have enough money to survive. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is that when things manifest, they manifest through the ether. Now, you don't know what the ether is, but I'm going to explain to you what the ether is. Now, the ether is what brought us the radio. The ether is what communicates between me and you. The ether is nowhere and everywhere. The ether you can't see. It's like the air. Okay. So the ether is the law of relativity. When they grabbed the law of relativity and they said, okay, let's try to condense the space between you and me. Let's grab this space and let's try to condense it. Albert Einstein looked into it and he's like, look, this is a 0 point gravity field. There is nothing there. We can't condense it because it's in all the interspaces of the universe. Now, Wallace Wattles, in the Science of Getting Rich book, he says that the ether is intelligent. Okay. Now I know we should be talking about the book, you know, the Profit Express, and we're going to go into the rest of these chapters. We still have time. Um, the ether is something that you can't see. When scientists looked into what the ether was, they tried to house the ether inside of a bubble. Like, you know how scientists have like glass and stuff like that, and they're making experiments and mixing atoms and nucleons and particles. Okay, well, what they did was they performed an experiment and they burned water to the point where it turned into a cloud. Now, they burned the cloud and it became space, okay? That is the ether. Now, the ether fills all the interspaces of the universe, and it's the point between me and you where the space is. So there's more space than there is physical. Okay. Now, this is basically the dust of the cosmos. This is basically the particle that was there before there was nothing. Before the Big Bang was this dust, right? Now, I believe God created the dust. God created the ether. And if he didn't create it, God is inside of the ether because he's communicating through the ether to us. But not only is he communicating, but he's directly connected to the energy and to the spirit. You could say he's the ultimate spirit because everything goes through and from him. So it comes to and through him to us. Now, I might be wrong, right? But when I started studying this information, I felt the energy, guys. I felt the energy, what the photographer, Samian Kearney. Now, I actually have Google here, and I'm going to search Kirlian photography. Okay. Kirlian is Kirlian. Kirlian photography. Now, who was Kirlian photography? Well, Samian Kirlian was a photographer that perfected a form of photography way back in the 30s, where you could see the mass and you could see the mass leaving the body. Okay. So I'll show you guys the picture of Kirlian photography. Okay. So that is the mass leaving the body. So, in other words, this Russian photographer, he basically perfected this photography where you could see the mass leaving the body. So you have this mass leaving your body, okay? And not only is it leaving your body, but it's also entering your body, the energy. You could build, this is what Bob Proctor says, you could build beautiful pictures of abundance, of anything you want. It's a higher faculty. It's called your imagination. Now, with your imagination, you go there with the picture. You entertain a picture, just like a song. The subconscious mind is like a song. So if I were to say, Bob Proctor likes talking about the song Nat King Cole, he says, how to be happy when you're blue. The song starts off like, how to be happy when you're blue. It isn't very hard to do. You can find happiness without an end whenever you pretend. And there's a beat to it. You can find happiness without an end whenever you pretend. Now, I studied piano in high school, and they say that every good boy deserves fudge, right? Every good boy deserves fudge. These are the notes. This is what you're playing on the piano. Now, in your life, there's a melody in the background. That melody is either good or bad, okay? Do you have a melody for your success? Let's say you are going to attract these things into your life. What song would you be playing? And if you don't have a song, find one and play that song so you can remember the picture. It's about building brain cells of recognition. How are you going to build one if you don't have a background? It's like a movie. When they film Dirty Dancing, okay? Now, Dirty Dancing was with Patrick Swayze and the other actress, very famous actress way back in the 80s, right? 1980s. Now, Patrick Swayze, he died from cancer, but he was a real famous actor in Hollywood. And I actually seen his star in the Walk of Fame in Hollywood because I used to live a block away from the Walk of Fame. And I would walk every day to the gym in Hollywood, California, and I would see Patrick Swayze, and I would think, man, like Dirty Dancing, right? Now, you guys might not know this, but Dirty Dancing generated hundreds of millions of dollars, and it didn't cost a lot of money to make. And the people that created Dirty Dancing, the people that made it, they basically have the rights to the movie, so they're making residual income. The producers, the editors, all that stuff. So they're getting residual income. Now, in Dirty Dancing, they had to pick the right melody for the song, for the movie. So what did they do? They picked out the right songs for the movie. Now, those songs were very, very important and sentimental to the person that created the title, the lady that basically is still getting residual income. She's getting residual income for that title. It's $1 million title, Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing. They made a movie. They have New York plays of Dirty Dancing. So anyway, to make a long story short, you have to have a song for you to think about that will attract to you that type of life. So the song has to make you feel good. Now remember, that song is always playing. You might not hear it because you're only thinking 3% of the time. The other 97%, the subconscious mind is thinking when you're not thinking. The whole purpose is to implement, to plant seeds into the subconscious mind of 100 million, 5 million, 20 million. Now, this exercise might be over the top for you because you were taught to go to school, get a job, get ahead. Look, right now I'm in Spain. I just went to the gym. I'm working on my website for our cryptolifeschool.com, our website for the company. I have multiple sources of income. I'm referring our loan modifications out to another company. Multiple sources of income. I'm working with IM Academy, helping people with Forex, trading. So these concepts have always been here. You might not see a flying plane, but it's there. You might not see a wagon from 1850, a horse. Uh, you might not see that. You might not see the past and you might not see the future, but it's there. Right now, you're in the present. Now, Werner von Braun, he was a scientist. He said that the laws are precise. Now, the laws are like creative, create, create, create. So you're like an artist and you have to have a picture. You have to be precise on that picture. The problem that you have, and I've had that problem as well, that you keep letting the logical side of you trying to dictate the outcome of how it's going to come about. You don't have to worry about how this thing's going to happen. You just have to throw yourself under the bus. You have to throw yourself out there. You have to throw yourself out of the bridge. Okay? Thomas Edison went through, they say that he went through close to 10,000 failures to make the incandescent light bulb. He figured it out through the method of combustion because he used to take cat naps and he let a thought communicate to him through the ether. He knew that the ether was real. So he let the thought of infinite intelligence, God, tell him, hey, you need to create it through the method of combustion. And that's why when you drop a bulb, it pops. Now, the same communication is considered a hunch. It's like a higher faculty. A hunch is like God trying to communicate himself with you. Now, a hunch is not part of the higher faculties. The higher faculties is your imagination, perception, reasoning, intuition, memory, and the will, right? The hunch is not part of the six. The hunch is like number 7. It's like the hidden gem, like something that you can use. But hunches come to you. Hunches tell you whether you should do something or not do something. And he had a hunch to do this. He created the light bulb. So you have these faculties, your imagination, your will, your ability to focus, reasoning, intuition, memory, perception. When you change your perception, everything else will change because we're dealing with two outcomes. Even though you want one outcome, this is the outcome you want, we're dealing with two outcomes because positive and negative, they both exist, but they exist in your mind. They exist in what you think it is. Is it positive or is it negative? So I got to the point where In this book, The Profit Express, the one I wrote, I talked about yesterday. We talked about qualities for quantities. Today we're going to talk about how to play the star. Now, I say in this book, how to play the star. I say, picture yourself in a movie. What character do you want to play? What movie are you in? In my movie, I have the main role. I play a successful entrepreneur with a beautiful wife, a nice house, a fast car. I have a jet and a nice boat. Multiple properties? Sure, no problem. I have it all. And most importantly, I have a big smile. On the weekends, I'm doing charity work and giving back to my community. What would you do if you had it all? Where would you live? What kind of house would you have? Do you have any pets? Are you married? Vacation homes? Do you help people? It is very important to ask yourself these questions and answer them honestly. If you're nowhere near the image you're aiming for, it's okay. Focus on the image, focus on the picture inside of your mind. And that's why Bob Proctor said, you can't paint the kitchen by painting the outside of the house. Ross, you have to start with you. Guys on the call, you have to start with you. You can't paint the kitchen by trying to paint the outside. You can't paint the kitchen by trying to keep up with your environment, with people around you, because everyone's in competition. Everyone wants to have a nicer car, a bigger house. But you have to let go of the competitive mind. You have to go into the creative mind. You have to be in harmony. You have to have a spirit of gratitude. You have to give love to people that might not even expect for you to send them love. They might not even expect a phone call from you. But one phone call can not only change their life, but it could literally change your life. Like, how many people pissed you off and you might not want to talk to? So, I've been through breakups and it's very difficult to communicate yourself with someone that really pissed you off, right? But doing that lets go of the bondage. It lets go of, like, when a baby's born, they have that umbilical cord. You gotta cut that off, and you let yourself go, but by being connected to them. You don't have to be connected to them. I like what Bob Proctor says. He actually said it yesterday because we were on a call. He says, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. That's number one. Number two, look for the good. Look for the good in any negative situation. There's something good in it. The more the negative situation, the more there is good in it. And three, forgive and let go. Abandon. Look for the good. There's something good in it, right? It is what it is. Look for the good and let go of. Forgive, let go. Adios, finito, bye bye. See you later, right? So you have to live your life like that. And most importantly, have you written down? Do you have it written down? So, how to play the star in your movie? This is your movie. This is your dirty dancing, not theirs. This is your dirty dancing. Dirty dancing needs a good song. Go out there, find a good song for your dirty dancing, for your attraction, for your desires, for the house that you're gonna have paid off, cash, no debt, for residual income, for being the best in what you do. Because there's a law of compensation, and the law states that the amount of money you make is directly related to your ability to do what you do, the need for what you do, and the difficulty there will be in replacing you. So, is there a need for what you do? Yes. Your ability to do it. How good are you? Always get better. That's what these calls are about. I'm always trying to do better. I'm always trying to do a better speech. I'm always trying to communicate myself in a better way where you guys can get this information. Excuse me. I'm always trying to do it better all the time. I'm always trying to do it where if I need to do on a call, I need to jump on a call. Hey Ross, we need you. We need to do a speech. We need you to talk to these people. Give me my phone. I'm ready to do the call right now. But don't you have to prepare? No, I don't. Just give me the phone. I'm jumping on the call. And I'm gonna stay on the call for 2 hours, for 3 hours, so you guys can get this, right? That's why last week we did Controlling the Polarities, and we're already halfway done with this other book that I wrote, The Profit Express. which I'm looking forward for it to be sold on Amazon. That's what we're working on. And I'm working with Peggy McCall on this. Peggy McCall is a New York Times bestseller. If you guys didn't know, Peggy McCall, I'm working with her on this book, The Profit Express. But look, guys, I wrote out 5 books. The Profit Express was my first one. Controlling the Polarities, The How Will Present Itself. I Can't Doesn't Exist. You're the Opportunity. The reason I wrote out You're the Opportunity is because everybody's looking for opportunity like I did back in the day, trying to look for opportunity with my friends. Hey, your friend owns a restaurant. Go hang out with him. You're going to be successful. You're going to be successful. So it's like, okay, well, is it? Yeah. Look for the good, forgive, and let go of, abandon. So it is what it is. And what we're going through in 2020, it is what it is. But there's something good in it, and there's a lot of abundance, there's a lot of opportunity. That is your higher faculty, your perception. Flip the switch, change your perception, and everything else will change. That's what William James said, the professor from Harvard, way back in 1900. He says that your belief system is based upon your evaluation of something. And frequently, if you reevaluate a situation, your beliefs about that situation will change. So reevaluate your life up to this point. Why did you make the money you make? Why are you doing what you're doing? What type of melody do you have in the background? How does that melody relate to your success? How does that song relate to your success? I remember when I was in high school, I had a melody. It was like Tupac, All Eyes on Me. Tupac. That was a crazy melody. And it was about violence. It was about um, haters hating on Tupac. And it was about East Coast and West Coast, a rival, East versus West. It was about Biggie Smalls and how much of a B Biggie Small was, and screw the East Coast and screw the West Coast, right? And there was conflict, and who was better, the West Coast or the East Coast? But there was like a melody, and it made you feel good because you were part of something, right? And you're like, yeah, Tupac, he's the shit, right? And then he died, and then everybody was crying because Tupac died. So the law could either work for you or against you, because Tupac wrote songs about him dying, life after death. He's like, if you ever had a friend like me, he's like, if you ever had a friend like me, um, me and you grew up together, uh, smoking weed and Hennessy. If you ever had a friend like me, he's like, me and you were like the same. If you ever had a friend like me, but Tupac, he ended up dying. Why? Because all he talked about was death. All he talked about was, I'm gonna die young. The good die young. He wrote another song, The Good Die Young. I think that was another song he wrote, The Good Die Young. Um, he wrote another song. He's like, we're once two homies from the we're from the same hood, and he's like, basically he was in heaven. Tupac, when he wrote out these songs, he was doing the song as if he was in heaven, and you can see all the clouds, and he's already dead, and his friend ended up dying, and he's in heaven talking to his friend. Now, eventually, repeated. That's why Andrew Carnegie told Napoleon Hill. He told Napoleon Hill, he's like, look, newspaper reporter, young man. He's like, I'm going to tell you something. He's like, there's a hidden law of nature that not even the wisest of men can understand. He's like, any idea that's emphasized means that you keep telling yourself. That's why a hypochondriac talks themselves to death, because they keep telling themselves, I'm sick. My arm hurts. I have diabetes. They don't even have diabetes. They don't have a bad sugar count. They're just saying to themselves, because they can't control their mind. They have no plan. So any idea that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, taking over to the subconscious mind will begin to clothe itself in its most convenient fashion. Any idea. And I like what John Canary says. He says, one of Bob Proctor's business partners back in the 80s. John Canary says any idea doesn't have to be your idea. It could be anyone else's belief systems. That's why William James said your belief system is based upon your evaluation of something. And frequently, if you reevaluate a situation, your beliefs about that situation will change. People do not reevaluate. People don't use the higher faculty, the perception. William James, when he said that, he says that any idea, when you reevaluate, your belief system is based upon your evaluation. I'm stretching here now because I was at the gym. Your belief system is based upon your evaluation of something. So what are you evaluating in your life? Is it good or bad? You evaluate everything. It's like my grandfather would say, if you want people to respect you, if you want people to look up to you, always dress up. Why do you think Bob's always dressed up in a suit and tie? Because yesterday we were talking to him and he says, when I walk in somewhere, I want to look like I own the place. It's like me, if I had a pinstripe suit with a nice watch, a nice haircut, and I'm shaved, everyone's going to say, man, this guy Ross, he owns that place. And if I'm sitting here with the pinstripe suit and I'm sitting here, now I'm telling you a pinstripe suit, you're building brain cells. I'm building brain cells. I feel like I got a pinstripe suit on. That's how powerful my imagination is because I built that creative faculty. I could tell you guys I'm in a pinstripe suit with a Rolex, a diamond bezel. The Rolex is 100 grand and I'm in a pinstripe suit, $10,000, $15,000 suit, the most expensive. I'm suited up and I'm talking to you guys. I'm at the gym. What do you think? What do you think with cufflinks on? What do you think people are gonna say? This guy owns the place. What kind of car does he drive? That guy has to drive a Rolls Royce. He's got to be in at least a $500,000 car. Why? Because your belief system is based upon your evaluation of something. Now, what if I was broke and somebody gave me that suit to do a video and I was an actor, right? Now, actors play a good role. And if you haven't bought that book, The Art of Acting by Stella Adler, I would recommend you get that book because Bob Proctor recommends that book all the time. Now, I actually went to the Stella Adler acting studio in California. She has two studios, one in New York and one in California. And I was going to start acting in Hollywood, and then the coronavirus broke out, and then they said, hey, you can't come to class. We're going to do all the classes online. Now, if you haven't bought that book, Stella Adler, she taught a style of acting. It's called method acting. The best actors were taught that style. Warren Beatty from the movie Bugsy and Bonnie and Clyde, he was taught method acting. Robert De Niro was taught method acting. Al Pacino was taught method acting. Nick Nolte was taught method acting. I searched this stuff because I wanted to find out why Stella Adler, how, who were the famous actors? How good were they? Marlon Brando, The Godfather, was taught method acting. Now, Kissel wrote the foreword in her book. Kissel wrote the book. He took all her manuscripts and he wrote the book. Marlon Brando from The Godfather, he wrote the foreword in Stella Adler's book. Stella Adler didn't write the book. It was a guy named Kissel. Bob Proctor recommends that book. I bought that book. Okay, I don't have that book in me in Spain. I got that book in Chicago at my house. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is you're gonna need a lot of things to attract an abundance. It's like I have some water, I have some protein, I have a phone, I have iPod Pros, I have my glasses here, and I have my hat. So it's like a Marine, you know. He's got a lot of different gear, and everything that you have that is close to you, you're going to have to know how to use it. You're going to have to know how to work in harmony with everything, because the law is either working with you or against you. It doesn't work in between. You don't get both of them. You either get one or the other. Excuse me. What I'm trying to tell you is, when this energy is coming to you, it's not coming to you positive or negative. At its core, it has nothing positive or negative about it. When you take that energy that's neither positive nor negative and entertain a picture, okay? You entertain a picture through your evaluation. You entertain a picture through your repetition, through your auto suggestion. Repeat it. That's either feared or revered. Taken over to the subconscious mind will begin to clothe itself in its most convenient fashion. Any idea that's emphasized, you keep thinking about it. William James, the professor from Harvard, he said that you have about 60,000 thoughts a day. Now, out of those 60,000 thoughts, me and you both know that 55,000 of them have nothing to do with your major definite purpose. 55,000 of those thoughts are, oh, I'm running late. Did I forget the keys? Oh, I gotta go get this. Oh my God, I gotta pay my phone. I gotta pick up the kids from school. I have to cancel that flight. Am I gonna get this corona shot vaccine? Oh, I hate this government. Or, oh, I'm not gonna be able to go on vacation this year. They're not letting anyone fly. And I remember when I came to Spain, they told me I couldn't come. And guess what? I rented a car and I came, and I had them ship the car back. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. If I can make millions of dollars in 2020, you could do the same thing. Because I'm telling you guys right now, I was broke. I was freaking broke. I used to work for companies, for banks. I was scared to get fired. I remember my manager, I'm not going to say her name, but I used to work for the Bank of Montreal, and I was scared to get fired. I was scared she was going to fire me. And then guess what? She fired me. She straight fired me. She's like, Ross, can you come in the room and close the door? I sat down. I'm like, what happened? Why is all my stuff in a box? She's like, we're going to have to FedEx it to your house. I'm like, you're not going to FedEx pictures of my son to my house. I got important notes there of all the training. See, you could take my job, but you're not going to take my training. Oh, but that's company information. I'm like, not from my notebook, not from my notebook. You could take everything else, but you're not going to take my freaking notebook and my pen. You're not going to ship my pen back to me. You're not going to ship pictures of my son that I had on my desk back to me. You don't get what you want. You get what you fear. Everything that you wanted, everything that you have is because you wanted it. And I'm sorry to tell you guys this, but everything that you wanted, you got because of your ego, because you couldn't let go of certain shit. Excuse my language. You know, I found out I had relationship problems, and I started to know myself. I didn't care about my relationship. I didn't care about what other people thought about me. I didn't care about making someone else happy. I had to make me happy. I had to do what I needed to do. I needed to travel the world. I didn't I didn't have to have anyone else with me, you know? I went to California by myself. When my ex tried following me to California, it was too late. I moved on. I didn't find anyone else. I didn't replace her. I just I replaced myself. I wanted a better version of me. I didn't want a toxic relationship. When I got into that relationship, people have issues from the past. They can't let go of certain stuff. It keeps lingering. It's like they say, you have dead skeletons in your closet. And by the time that you open the door, you see all the skeletons. You're like, what the hell? This is not the same person I met. So look for the good in people. No one's perfect, right? Let go, let God. Have a plan, have a minor purpose, have a major definite purpose. Like Nat King Cole, right? You could be happy when you're blue. It isn't very sad. It isn't very hard to do. You can find happiness without an end whenever you pretend. Pretend all day long. If you can't go there in physical, go there in your mind. You have higher faculties. Work those higher faculties. Build those image. Impress them to the ether. Impress them to the subconscious mind. So that is what I'm talking about to you with you guys. Now we'll end this chapter, but basically to talk about this chapter, I say here, Jinnah B. Biran says, my mind is the center of divine operation. Focus within, work harmoniously, and don't force a particular situation to happen. It's called the law of attraction, not the law of assertion, guys. Be patient and persist. Become Batman and save your life. Take the leading role and become the star you were born to be. Don't let your fears take you back to poverty and misery. What you're aiming for is already yours. I talked about a man named Lonesome Dove. He was a master at playing the star. When I met him, he appeared to be in his 60s and had all white hair. I learned that the name Lonesome Dove came from a television miniseries. I was curious about why he changed his name to a character from a television show, Lonesome Dove, and he ended up meeting and being knighted by the Queen of England. He also told me he'd written several books and that he became royalty. He was a very interesting character. I knew he was lying because there was no possible way this man went to Vietnam War, saved thousands of soldiers, and ended up becoming a duke in England. After he told me the story, I started referring to him as Duke Lonesome. It sounds funny, but he was literally living out his movie. I thought he was nuts. There was no way that this person could be telling the truth. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Now, I talked about this in my book about Lonesome Dove, this old man that I met. Now, it says here, maybe in his world, in his mind, he truly had been honored by the Queen of England and knighted. But in my mind, he was just a 60-year-old man that was talking out of his yin yang. I tested his imagination. I wanted all the details. I asked him how he saved the soldiers in Vietnam. He told me that he didn't have enough time to save everyone because they were scared of the enemy and an A bomb went off. It reminded me of the movie Forrest Gump. He said he did the best that he could and that he had about 1 hour to rescue people. He even went into details about how they thanked him afterwards. Then he told me that how he met Queen Elizabeth, greeted him when he walked into Windsor Castle. I asked him what he was wearing, and he told me he wore a black tuxedo with a nice bow tie. When I asked him if he stayed in the castle, he told me that he had. He said Queen Elizabeth was very friendly and mentioned they'd had many conversations. This guy had it all. I couldn't find any flaws in his story. When you talk about being successful and that you visualize that you've already achieved your goals, make sure you know all the details. Picture the life you dream of as thoroughly as Lonesome Dove does. And don't worry if people think you're crazy. And that's the funny part is that I was told I was crazy by my mom and dad. Like they didn't mean it. They just couldn't believe that I was saying I make $20,000 a week. So they were like, look, I know you don't have a job. Uh, they said that. They said, we know you don't have a job. We know that you're trying to make your way through life, but you're a grown man and you're still living here at this house with us. And just try to go to school. Try to go to school and get a job, and everything's gonna be okay, right? So it's like when you have these desires, no one can see the picture. That's what Jenna B. Biran says. She says that when you bring these when you bring these unseen causes into harmony with your conception, you can make practical working realities that at present seem but fantastic dream. So no one can see the fantastic dream in you, but everyone is sitting there looking at your life saying, snap out of it, dude. You need to go get a job, put your feet on the ground. That's what my dad was saying. Look, you need to snap out of it. You need to go get a job. You need to put your feet on the ground. You need to do things this way, right? And I'm like, no, I want a big bite out of life. I don't want to do the same old shit. I don't want to work for a salary. I want to create something big, a company, and make millions and help you pay off your house. Now, the funny thing about it is, I put in new kitchens in his house, like no problem. No problem. Granite countertops and everything. Marble bathrooms, no problem. He's so happy. My sister, which was actually my first student, she rented an RV, like where all the football players go from state to state when they're playing football. She rented a big RV with a bedroom and a bathroom and a kitchen. And our whole family drove through the Rocky Mountains. Like we literally went to like 12 different states in the RV. And then I went to my apartment in California, which was crazy because my sister was like, yeah, sure, it's going to be like 7,000, 8,000, but no worries. I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, wow. So you're going to take me to California in the RV? She's like, yeah, I'm going to take you to California in the RV. Then I told her, hey, look, California traffic's pretty bad. You may want to drop me off in Las Vegas. She's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. So they left me in Las Vegas. I said bye to my mom and dad, jumped in a rental, and I drove to California from Las Vegas. Now that is a fantastic dream. So you do not know where you're going to be in the next 10 years. And I'm telling you guys right now, if you bet on yourself, you're not betting on me. If you bet on yourself, you can literally change not only your economy, but everyone that's close to you. Because it's just like Roger Bannister. Bob Proctor talks about Roger Bannister. They couldn't run a mile and a quarter mile in less than 5 minutes. They used to turn lions loose back in Africa to see if a person could run a quarter mile less than 5 minutes. Guess what? Roger Bannister did it. Now, after Roger Bannister did it, everybody else started doing it. So it's like if your sister, your brother opens up a company, they're making millions of dollars, and guess what? You're gonna make millions of dollars. If they can do it, you're gonna do it. My sister calls me, she's like, look, I might want to go to Spain. I'm like, come. I might want to go to France. Come. She's like, I don't work anymore. Everybody at the office is working for me. I'm like, good, great. Have them jump on this call and let's get everybody on the same page. And how did she turn her annual income into her monthly income? She's like, look, I know you're always carrying this book, Think and Grow Rich. And I know that you have a company. I know you're making 150,000, 140,000 a month. I know you're doing that. And she knew, she worked for me, right? Because they fired her at the bank where she worked. She had just bought a Mercedes Benz, so she needed to make money to pay off the car. So she's working for me on the weekends, making like 8,000 a month. She's like, look, I want what you want. I want a big bite out of her life. Now, this is my older sister. So, I kind of made her look bad with my parents because my parents are like, your little brother outperformed you, right? So that is what Wallace says. There is no competition. So anyway, to make the long story short, she said, I want to make $100,000 a year. Now she calls me Junior. So she's like, look, Junior, I want to make $100,000 a year. I said, look, you're not going to make $100,000 a year. You're going to make $100,000 a month. And she's like, no way. Are you freaking kidding me? 100,000 a month. Yes. She told me all she ever wanted was to take care of her family. Well, now she has several properties. She has a business. She owns her own office, paid off, making millions of dollars. Why? Because if you believe in someone, you're helping them get to the next level. They might not believe in themselves. Like Andrew Carnegie believed in Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill didn't know what the word philosophy meant, didn't know what,
being an international bestseller, a New York Times bestseller. Napoleon Hill didn't know anything about Think and Grow Rich, The Laws of Success, but he was good with a typewriter, and he typed his butt off, and he started typing his butt off, and then guess what? The Laws of Success came out. He became a little famous, but when Think and Grow Rich came out, internationally known. They take that book and they made it Spanish, all types of languages. How did that happen? We can't explain how. That's what Andrew Carnegie told them. There's a hidden law of nature that not even the wisest of men can understand. The wisest of men is like Albert Einstein. When Albert Einstein was dying and he was looking into the law of relativity, he said, "This stuff is so complicated, I feel like I'm having a conversation with God." And then he died. And they say he used about 10% of his brain. We probably use 1%, maybe 2, if we're lucky, right? And it's just like the thought. You only think 1, 2, 3% of the time. That's what William James said. There's stuff happening in your life that you don't even know why it's happening. You don't even know why you think the way you think. You don't even know what the hell is going on in your life. You have to take control. You're not even in the driver's side. You're letting someone else drive the car. Who is driving the car? Television, family and friends, belief system, self-image of who you are, everything you can find in the subconscious mind. But it's only 1%, 2, 3% of what you're thinking. That's why it's important to have it written down, to think about it, internalize it, have it everywhere. And then it manifests into your life. Not backwards. Not, oh, let me go get a job. Let me use the less strength as possible. You're never going to be wealthy. You're never going to be wealthy because if humanity has been living in a state of confusion and you've been confused, and these calls are for you to not be confused, then you need to be on these calls because you were confused. You were taught to use the left part of your brain. What you see is what you get. The valedictorian, he gave the speech in class, and he's the one that said, hey, you guys can become anything you want. Try to see where that valedictorian is in your high school. What he's doing with his life. Has he made millions of dollars? See what he's doing. Because A's and B's are not going to get you to the next level. Elon Musk at Tesla is hiring people without a degree. So you don't need a degree. That was a hypothetical construct. That was like Santa Claus. You hear about him, but he's not real. It's your visualization. It's your will. It's your perception. It's your imagination. It's your concentration that makes it real. Because whatever you're internalizing, whatever you're believing is creating fact. That's why William James, he said, believe in your belief, and your belief will literally create the fact. Believe in your belief, and your belief will literally create the fact. And that's what I did. That's what Bob did. Bob was always broke. We were the same. Me and him were broke. And then all you needed is a pen. That's what my sister said. All I have to do is write it down. All you got to do is write it down, and you're going to need some coaching lessons to change the paradigm of why you believe that you can't move to the next level. And she's like, I'm going to buy that book, Think and Grow Rich. And I'm like, yeah, buy it. She went to Michigan or Wisconsin. She rented a cabin for a week. She drew out, cut out magazines. She created a dream board. But this is an everyday way of life. This is every day because you're always getting it. And you could always build pictures with the energy. It's always been here. Has no past, has no future. It's 100% evenly present in all places at all times. Einstein knew about it. And Isaac Newton looked into it through the law of gravity. And he's like, look, I found out what gravity was. He studied calculus. And he's like, man, this stuff is crazy. Napoleon Hill wasn't a scientist, but he talked about it in the book, How to Raise Your Own Salary by Napoleon Hill. The last chapter, he talked about the cosmic habit force. And he actually mentions Isaac Newton in the last chapter. And you know, the laws of success, it tells you how you should write this out. Now, at that time, he didn't say, I'm so happy and grateful now. He says, this is how you should write it. Write it in present tense and read it to yourself in the mirror in the morning and at night for 30 minutes. Build that faculty of the imagination. And I think of Bob Proctor as like an X-Men. If you ever seen X-Men, X-Men, the professor is Xavier. His higher faculty was he was able to read people's mind and he was able to plant the seed in their mind. He was on a wheelchair, he was handicapped, but he basically controlled X-Men. He controlled Wolverine. He basically was mentoring all the X-Men. Wolverine, Cyclops, Gambit, um, Rogue, Storm, the Beast, all these people, they were mentored by Xavier. Bob Proctor is like an Xavier to us at Proctor Gallagher Institute because he helps us understand the faculties. He helps us understand what went wrong and why we were living in a state of confusion because our parents didn't get this and neither did your teacher. Don't think that going to college or high school, you're going to understand this material. You can search for it all you want. You're not going to find many people that can tell you how it works. People can act, people can talk, but I'm here telling you right now. I did the research and I tested it with a blank sheet of paper. I wrote down, I'm so happy and grateful now that I own 20 properties paid off for my retirement. Now, I got to 10. And then I'm like, okay, this is crazy. And I diversified. I sold all my properties because there's a lot of opportunity right now. And right now I opened up a crypto school. And we have people from the school that are going to watch these videos because they're all going to be on the website, cryptolifeschool.com, cryptolifeschool.com. So you have to have these goals right now. And I'll leave you guys with this. There's a law. It's called the law of gender. If you read The Science of Getting Rich, he talked about 7 basic universal laws. The first law is the transmutation of energy. The last law is the law of gender. Now, the law of gender states that there's an incubation and gestation period to every seed. We know what it is for a woman having a child is 9 months, but we don't know what a spiritual seed is. A spiritual seed, in Bob Proctor's case, took him over 30 years to open up a company that operates all around the world. In my case, it took me 3 years to make 1.75 million. And it took me about a year to attract close to 10 properties, which I got closer to the goal on the goal card. Whatever your goal is, you don't have to tell it. You don't have to tell me what your goal is. You don't have to tell anyone what your goal is. But you have to have a goal where you're going to fail and fail and fail, and you're going to get to the goal. That's how this stuff works. You keep going for the goal. That's how this stuff works. So tomorrow, we're going to end the Profit Express. And then we're going to go into the how will present itself. How the how works. This week, we're going to do it this week. We're going to move fast through these 5 books. I want to move fast through them because I want to start focusing on our cryptolifeschool.com. It should be, the website is actually getting developed right now, cryptolifeschool.com. And we're making things happen in the cryptocurrency world. And I really, truly believe that's where all the money is going to end up going, because what a coincidence. The virus could be on the cash. And some of our students have made millions of dollars. I have a friend, his name is Ryan. He's out in Colombia right now, and he's making millions of dollars in cryptocurrency. I'm doing the same thing. And we're working in this environment. We're literally having a positive impact on people's lives. So it's whatever you want, guys. It's whatever you want. It's whatever you tell yourself. Like Earl Nightingale said, you're the sum total of what you tell yourself all day long. So it's whatever you tell yourself. So tell yourself positive things. So I want to thank you guys for being on the call. Take a screenshot of this. So we had 7 people on the call. And let me see here. I got a question from someone. How much do you think we need to have in our account to start trading the crypto? You could have $10, £10. You could have 10,000 pounds, whatever you could afford to invest in your future, because this is the future of money. And if you want to know more information, just WhatsApp. What you have my WhatsApp. WhatsApp me private, and we'll talk about it one-on-one. For anyone that's on the call, if you guys want to know what I'm up to and the percentages that we're making, message me and we'll talk about it. And yeah, so tomorrow we'll finish off this book so we can start the How Will Present Itself book this week. Thank you guys for your time. Is there any other questions? And remember, guys, all the calls are on YouTube as well, okay? Everything's recorded. Everything's on YouTube. All right. Thanks, everyone, for your time, and we'll talk tomorrow. Peace out. Have a good day. Enjoy your day. Thank you, too. Have a good one. Thank you, guys. Peace out.